Well, the 4th of July came and went, and that means the original Transformers live-action film has turned another year older. It's now been 13 entire years since the Autobot and Decepticons exploded, quite literally, onto the big screen, and it was a really exciting time. One thing I really miss about the first 3 films was the promotional materials sent out months in advance to pump up those precious toy sales. While this practice dropped off for Age of Extinction, possibly due to economic problems and general Transformer fatigue, the original movie's preview wave was nothing to sneeze at. With entirely original depictions of Optimus Prime and Starscream in their Cybertronian forms, these figures were unlike any other. Shame that Starscream's figure is, well, a bit harder to come by in good condition these days. Welcome to Kit Katastrophe. My name is Kit, and today we'll be taking a look at Transformers movie Deluxe Class Protoform Optimus Prime. This figure was released in 2007 as part of Wave 1 of the Deluxe assortment. Now, the thing about these Protoform figures were that they didn't have an alternate mode per se. It's more that they tried to depict the form taken by the Transformers while they were traveling through space, as seen in the film itself during the iconic Arrival to Earth sequence. Essentially, this is just Optimus Prime bracing himself for a rather bumpy entry into Earth's atmosphere. The Planetesimal is cast in this sandy blue color, which, when coupled with silver paint highlights scattered across the sculpt, result in an icy cold vibe, which I feel works for an inert chunk of metal careening through the ether at millions of kilometers per second. All that being said, there are vestigial hints of an alternate mode here and there. For starters, the quote-unquote front of the asteroid features a familiar facsimile of a truck cab with great blue windows and a pair of yellow headlights flanking a silver grille. Along the bottom of the sides are round black growths which are meant to replicate wheels, even if they're all fake, and half of them don't even touch the ground when set down. Optimus Prime's real wheels are hidden from sight in most angles, all thin and black. Just taking a step back, it's kind of obvious where everything from robot mode ends up here, but I suppose that's okay, since this isn't really supposed to be disguise, right? To recreate Optimus Prime entering Earth's atmosphere for that grandiose moment of musical perfection, he comes with an effect part which plugs into the tail of the asteroid, sculpted and painted to look like flame. It would have been cool if there were more pieces of rubber to clamp down on other areas of this mode to further the illusion, as this flame piece is really small and unconvincing, though I appreciate the effort. The transformation is startlingly simple, though I guess that's a given when your alternate mode is a fucking rock. What's surprising is just how similar this conversion scheme is compared to, say, either version of Classics Optimus Prime. This is due in part to just the design quirks the designers at Hasbro added to this lump of space junk, such as adding fake wheels to the legs so they end up folding straight down from beneath, but he also does that 180-degree waist rotation when there's literally no need to do so, considering there's no fake grill to hide away or anything. There's actually a nice spot of weapon storage mid-conversion where you have to take out Prime's weapon, which was nestled safely betwixt his limbs. It's just a shame that the icing on this cake is a hard-to-reach head reveal and folding down the largest chunk of kibble on this thing. Despite being about as far removed and abstracted from the Optimus Prime we all know and love, this robot mode is still undeniably Optimus Prime. This figure doesn't quite capture the fatherly stoicism and good nature of the esteemed Autobot leader, coming across as more of a young, sprightly cadet figure with just a few hints of the Prime he would one day become. That's probably due to being a deluxe figure, though. Protoform Optimus Prime retains his icy sand blue and silver from vehicle mode, though in robot mode a lot more black and a few hints of red have shown up to the party to break up the color scheme a bit to good effect. The titty windows are present and proper as always, mounted just above a slim and tight waist. The shoulders and arm guards are nice and beefy, looking like proper armor than kibble of any sort. The shoulder spikes are adjustable. You can point them straight up to mirror those of the Earth mode model, or lay them flat and outward for more pizzazz and flair. I prefer the latter. The head sculpt is a lot more cinched than your typical Optimus helmet, with a thin face and a yandere dev chin, but it still captures a lot of the main design elements. While the kibble cape is kind of egregious, I feel it's kind of understated, though that might just be the nostalgia goggles blinding me to just how bad this really is. It's a lot easier to forgive a figure's faults if you got him when you were 6, you know. The only really questionable design choice are the feet, all chimped up with 4 succulent toes and a dew claw on the outsides. It's just really weird, though I guess it is movie accurate. For Ironhide, at least. The only question I have regarding this figure is, who should I pose him with? Well, besides Starscream, but I don't have him. The Protoform figures are so far removed from the rest of the original movie line that Optimus just feels out of place on my movie shelf. I suppose he can go with Megatron, but that figure sucks. The weapon we unhitched from the inside of the Protoform can unfold itself to become a rifle for Optimus Prime to wield in his hand. It's cast in black, except for the end, which is cast in Optimus's own sand blue. The rifle features a stock that gets in the way of Prime just bending his elbow, so I like to keep it folded away for better posing options. The flame piece from earlier can be inserted into the muzzle to simulate Optimus giving the Viet Cong what for, I suppose. As far as accessory crossplay and integration, this attempt isn't half bad at all. For a 2007 figure, Protoform Optimus Prime has a lot of articulation, which is really surprising given the year he came out, which wasn't as good as the articulation that we get today. He has a simple swivel for the head, which is alright, but he does have a joint which allows him to look up. It's a transformation joint, and you kind of have to disengage a few things to do it, and it results in him turtling into himself, so I would advise against it in general, but it is there if you require it for some reason. The arms move all the way outwards, and they can, in theory, rotate 360 degrees, though these shoulder spikes get in the way of these flank panels. But, as you can see, I got it past them. It is kind of inhibitive. These panels get in the way of a lot of motion, and they are on a hinge here that allows them to move back and forth to and fro like so, but sometimes it just isn't enough, especially when this cape gets in the way as well. As you can see right here, the arms also move outwards all the way, and the biceps swivel, the elbows bend just about 90 degrees, which is nice, and he has a wrist swivel. It doesn't go all the way around because it does get blocked by the armor, but it is enough for a wide variety of gestures and gesticulations and whatnot. He has a transformation joint at the top of the torso that allows him to rotate all the way around, and it is on a ratchet joint, as you could hear, but he also has a ball-jointed waist. It is a little looser than the top of the torso joint, but this means that you can get some impressive curves utilizing both joints, or you can just use whichever one that you prefer. The hips also have a ball joint that disallows all the way outwards movement, but there is a thigh swivel that lets him kick really high should you so desire. His knees bend just about 90 degrees on a simple hinge, which is fine, and finally the ankles are ball jointed, which allow for a nice wide variety of stances, and with his wide-toed feet, he can balance pretty well, depending on how wide of a stance he is. There are limits to this, but the ball joints allow enough play so that you can, balance him pretty well, regardless. So yeah, Optimus Prime has a lot of articulation for a 2007 Deluxe, and I really enjoy posing this thing. He's very limber and he's very lithe, and he's just really easy to move, except for, the shoulders banging into these. That's really the only major issue. The movie Protoform figures are pretty unique pieces, I'd say. Most Cybertronian versions of characters we've gotten before and since are usually Cybertronian jet or Cybertronian car, but back in 2007, Hasbro just up and said, "Here, take a fucking space rock." Kinda weird for Hasbro to be copying Rock Lords well after those came and went, but hey, it was 2007, and the sky was the limit. At least until the housing bubble burst, that is. Anyway, thanks for coming on this short jaunt down memory lane. I don't particularly have any strong opinions on this figure from an objective standpoint, so I'll suffice to give him the rank of adequate. Can't believe I went with above average for so long. It was so clunky. If you liked this video or otherwise found it helpful or informative, then please subscribe for more reviews like this in the future, and feel free to suggest topics for future reviews in the comments. Today, we took a look at one of the first attempts at capturing the Optimus Prime from the silver screen. When we return, we'll be taking a look at one of the latest. This has been Katastrophe. Transform and roll out.